tensions in the West Bank. Palestinians pelting Israeli military vehicles with rocks just days after an Israeli soldier was killed by a thrown rock. Phase 1. The plans to reopen are rolling out this weekend. Even hard-hit areas like New York City and New Orleans are lifting some restrictions today. President Trump's call for warp speed in the race for a vaccine. And we hear from owners of a restaurant shut down by the governor after a video of the crowded dining room went viral. Battle for the beach, the coordinated effort among governors to reopen beaches coast to coast. As Americans learn the new rules for summer include masks and social distancing. Sitting it out. Meet the Alabama high school senior who's skipping her graduation, even though she's a valedictorian. Drive-ins return. The improbable comeback of the drive-in being used now for more than just movies. And Zooey Deschanel is here with an invitation to this weekend's hottest house party, virtual house party, of course. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us on this Friday, a day that for many is perhaps their last day of mandated quarantine. Ready or not, social distancing is coming to an end in most states. America is reopening, and soon we'll see how Americans are re-engaging in this post-quarantine life. Many are already getting out of the house, and they now have many more options of places they can go. The Grand Canyon is one of a handful of national parks that partially reopened to tourists today. But this time is far from a walk in the park for millions of Americans. This was the scene in Maryland today as cars once again lined up for food. And in New York State, Governor Cuomo called out a barber who kept on cutting hair and has now tested positive. And according to the governor, so have many of his clients. Our Whit Johnson leads us off.
Tonight, as more states begin to reopen, including parts of New York, the epicenter of the crisis, an alarming new headline. One barber in Kingston, New York, staying open. The hairstylist testing positive for coronavirus. The governor saying he spread the disease to multiple customers and that it serves as a warning.
Barber in Kingston was operating in defiance of the close order, infected, I think, over a dozen people. You can't really socially distance and do a haircut.
This as summer-like heat draws more people out of their homes. 4 northeastern states are now promising to open their beaches by Memorial Day.
Got a lot of businesses that's losing money. People ain't working. I think it should be open, wear your face mask and open.
From New York to Connecticut to Delaware and the Jersey Shore, where today the state hit a new grim milestone, more than 10,000 deaths from COVID-19.
This week is the test. We're going to look how many people come, how controllable it was.
Today, New York taking its first steps toward reopening. Just 5 regions in the central and northern part of the state qualifying for phase 1, allowing construction, manufacturing, and retail limited to pickup and drop-off.
We need to get the cash flow in. I need to get guys back to work.
But while some parts of the state are slowly getting back to work, businesses in hard-hit areas like New York City will just have to wait, where the governor extended the stay-at-home order through at least the end of May. Tonight, at least 48 states now easing restrictions, but none of them reporting consecutive 14-day drops in new cases. And in 4 of those states, infections are actually on the rise. Texas tonight reporting the deadliest 48 hours yet, 2 weeks after easing restrictions following scenes like this at a crowded Houston restaurant. Governors desperate to lessen the economic pain. More than 36 million Americans filing for unemployment. And today the government says retail sales plunged a record 16.4% last month. Sales at restaurants and bars slashed nearly in half.
It is the difference between potentially being able to support oneself long-term as a business and not.
In Florida, the governor says starting Monday, restaurants can expand to 50% capacity and gyms can reopen. And tonight, new signs of hope out west. The Navy hospital ship Mercy heading home to San Diego, 49 days after arriving in Los Angeles to alleviate the burden on hospitals. And the roar of the Air Force Thunderbirds soaring over Southern California today, honoring our healthcare heroes.
Whit Johnson joins us now. And with the CDC is now revising its estimate of just how many Americans may die from COVID-19, what are they saying?
Lindsay, the director of the CDC, saying in a tweet tonight that 12 different forecasting models now project a death toll exceeding 100,000 by June 1st. Meantime, here in New York, where the state is beginning to reopen beaches, access will be limited to 50% capacity. That includes parking lots. All group activities, including sports, will be prohibited. Lindsay?
All right, Whit Johnson, thanks so much. And as you just heard from Whit, as we grapple with the rising death toll, lawmakers are also struggling with how to safely allow Americans to leave their homes and go to the beach with summer just around the corner. In the Northeast this weekend, there is a major warm-up expected. Plenty will, of course, be looking to enjoy those temperatures. And in the West, gorgeous weather is expected for Southern California beaches as well. And along with the warm weather, we are also seeing sweeping new guidelines across the country, each state with their different variations. You just heard New York's, because as Matt Gutman reports, there is no playbook for how to go to a beach during a pandemic.
Surfboards again slapping into the waves of some American shorelines, and with Memorial Day only a week away, authorities bracing for beaches packed again. In California, most of the beaches are open, but only to exercise and surfers.
How do you even begin to enforce this?
Yeah, so it's a first time doing this at all. We've never closed the beaches like this. There's no playbook. There's no exact right way to do it. We have those large groups now spread out along larger areas. So we're adapting like we do, and making sure that when people come down here to enjoy the water, that they're safe when they do so. And on rescues, lifeguards will look noticeably different in PPE. So we're going to doff a full isolation kit. We have gloves, masks, goggles, N95 masks. And in New Jersey, which is nearing 10,000 COVID deaths, plans to open beaches in time for the big weekend, provided beachgoers observe social distancing rules.
The Jersey Shore, after all, is where memories are made. The last thing any of us wanted was for a summertime down the shore to be a memory. We want everyone to have fun, but we need everyone to be safe. To accomplish both, we will be requiring restrictions on how many beachgoers may be allowed on any beach or lakefront. This as Europe considering some drastic pre-summer solutions. In Spain, a proposal to rope off sunbathing squares to keep sunbathers from grouping together. And in Italy, one company taking it a step farther, designing those giant plexiglass beach boxes.
Hard to imagine that on the beach. Okay, our Matt Gutman, thanks so much for that. And now to Washington, where today President Trump unveiled the administration's COVID-19 vaccine development program, dubbing it Operation Warp Speed, and insisting it can produce a vaccine by the end of the year. ABC News Chief White House correspondent Jonathan Karl has those details.
As the president spoke in the Rose Garden today, the health experts standing behind him wore masks, while the two cabinet secretaries did not.
I gave them the option. They could wear it or not. So you can blame it on me.
The president announced he is putting former drug company executive Moncef Slaoui in charge of the effort to develop a vaccine for the coronavirus.
It's called Operation Warp Speed. That means big and it means fast.
Previous vaccines have taken years to develop, but the president has gone back and forth on whether a COVID vaccine could get done before the end of this year. Today, he said this.
Its objective is to finish developing and then to manufacture and distribute a proven coronavirus vaccine as fast as possible. Again, we'd love to see if we could do it prior to the end of the year.
Defense Secretary Esper seemed to vow it will be done.
We will deliver, by the end of this year, a vaccine at scale to treat the American people and our partners abroad.
Later, the Pentagon clarified, saying it is a goal, not a promise. This all comes 24 hours after the doctor who until recently had been leading the charge to develop a vaccine told Congress a vaccine would likely take longer.
A lot of optimism is swirling around a 12 to 18 month time frame. If everything goes perfectly, we've never seen everything go perfectly.
Jonathan Karl joins us now. So, John, this is the federal government's vaccine development project. Who's working on this? And again, is that end of year time frame at all realistic?
Well, this is, they're saying, is an all-of-government approach. So the Department of Defense is very much involved in terms of the logistics. Also, of course, the CDC, the NIH, HHS, an all-of-government approach to achieve something that looks like it would be, to say the least, incredibly ambitious. Whether or not it's realistic is really an open question. You know, Lindsay, the fastest a vaccine has ever been developed, it was 4 years. But, you know, a lot has changed since then. There have been technological advances. There has been work on other coronaviruses that they're building on now. But the idea of getting a vaccine not just developed, but also to develop and make enough doses to take care of some 300 million Americans would be an unprecedented achievement in modern medicine.
And then the president again said that we may not end up needing a vaccine. Can you try to explain what he meant by that?
Well, he has said variations of that before. I believe what he is saying is that the country can move forward and open up in advance of a vaccine developed. As you know, you've heard him over the last a few months talk about how he believes this virus may at some point just disappear on its own. You don't really hear anybody in the medical community saying that. The view among the health experts is that ultimately the solution here is going to have to include a vaccine.
All right, Jonathan Karl for us in Washington, D.C. Thanks so much, John. And staying in the nation's capital for a moment, how accurate are the COVID-19 tests at the White House? That's the question after the FDA issued a new alert about the kind of tests that are used to check White House staff for coronavirus, saying that it could give a high percentage of false negative results. ABC's Kaylee Hartung has a closer look.
Tonight, a new analysis from Johns Hopkins University suggests the window for accurate testing, a critical tool to stop the spread of coronavirus, is limited. Researchers finding after 3 days of symptoms, false negatives were reported 20% of the time. On the day symptoms appeared, 38%. But the number of false negatives jumping to 100% when patients were tested after exposure to the virus, but 4 days before exhibiting symptoms. And tonight, the rapid COVID-19 test used by the White House to screen those closest to the president is under scrutiny. The FDA is now alerting the public after it received 15 reports from healthcare professionals and patients suggesting the test may return false negative results. The president asked today about one preliminary study finding Abbott ID Now missed as many as 48% of positive cases.
Do you have any concerns about the Abbott tests, given some of the new numbers that have come out?
No, Abbott's a great test. It's a very quick test, and it can always be very rapidly double-checked.
The FDA cautions scientific studies about the test's accuracy have limitations, and those researchers acknowledge they didn't use the test machine as it's intended to be used. Abbott says its test can detect a COVID infection in a matter of minutes, and the president has repeatedly praised it.
That's a 5-minute test, highly accurate.
In a statement, Abbott saying, while we understand no test is perfect, test outcomes depend on a number of factors. And when used as instructed, they say, the test works.
We continue to recommend its use or to have it available for use.
And Kaylee joins us now. Kaylee, with such a high percentage of these false negatives, why is the FDA still recommending these tests despite these concerns?
Well, Lindsay, the FDA is giving us a bit of a reality check as to what they're up against here, saying no diagnostic test will be 100% accurate. User error oftentimes comes into play here and puts those results at risk. You have to think about these nasal swabs and the collection technique that a technician could use in gathering that sample, how that sample is then taken to a lab to be processed. Abbott has sent out about 2 million tests all over the country. So when the FDA is saying it's received 15 of these adverse event reports, that's not just 15 reports, it could be multiples of 15, but still such a small percentage. And when you look to these studies, particularly the one at NYU, that was just a sample of about 100 people. So there's a lot to take into context here as we hear these numbers. And now Abbott is cooperating fully with the FDA to do post-market studies on their tests and get to the bottom of these concerns. But the head of the FDA, Lindsay, Stephen Hahn, he is confident in these tests.
All right, Kaylee Hartung, thanks so much for that. Now, the conventional wisdom was that the elderly were most at risk to get really sick or worse from COVID-19. And while that may still be the case, there are these troubling new reports about a mysterious syndrome impacting children, possibly linked to the virus. And that is setting off alarm bells with every parent who hears it. And as Stephanie Ramos reports tonight, there is a new global health alert as cases continue to spike right here at home.
Tonight, growing reports of that rare inflammatory illness in children linked to coronavirus. ABC News identifying at least 220 possible and confirmed cases in 20 states, plus D.C. More than 100 cases in New York, where 3 children have died.
Other states should expect what we have seen. We've noticed that it's 4 to 6 weeks after the peak of infections in the state.
The CDC sending that urgent alert for doctors to look out for patients with fever, inflammation, multiple organs involvement, and infection or exposure to COVID-19 within 4 weeks. Today, the World Health Organization sounding the alarms. Brittany Bowler wants to know if that's what sent her son Titus to the ER, starting with a fever.
The second day, he was just crying about his tummy. It was like his tummy was just hurting and hurting.
In a matter of days, her son's fever climbing to 104, and he was vomiting.
His lips were like super red and swollen. His eyes were bloodshot red. He was breathing really fast.
Titus was treated for Kawasaki disease and recovered, testing negative for COVID-19. But his mother now wants him tested for those antibodies. Titus's symptoms strikingly similar to 9-year-old Bobby Deans in upstate New York, who wound up in the ICU, later testing positive for the virus.
If we didn't get Bobby to the doctors within 24 hours of when we did, they said we very well could have lost him. And that's really scary thought for us.
And Stephanie Ramos joins us now. Thankfully, both of those boys have recovered. But Bobby's parents had a message for others. What do they want them to know?
Absolutely. Bobby's parents are stressing the importance of early detection. And the American Academy of Pediatrics, they're also telling parents to be on the lookout for those symptoms, the fever, the rash, the stomach pain. And as soon as they notice those symptoms, they need to call their doctor.
And Stephanie, as a reporter and a parent yourself, this must be so disturbing to cover. What's been the most surprising thing that you've learned as you've been speaking to families this week?
Lindsay, it's been surprising to see how quickly these children become critically ill. So a lot of the parents that we've spoken to said that as soon as their children spiked a fever, they went to that urgent care, they went to their pediatrician's office, and then were sent home with Tylenol. That was the case with the boy in Queens, a 9-year-old boy in Queens. His family told me that days after being home, his fever was improving, but then he went into cardiac arrest. And that's how quickly these symptoms can turn serious. So as Bobby's parents said, they want that early detection. They want parents to be on the lookout for the symptoms so that they don't have severe damage or long-term damage later on. Lindsay.
All right, Stephanie Ramos for us. Thanks so much, Stephanie. Next, remember that video from earlier in the week of a packed Colorado restaurant on Mother's Day? Most of the people were not wearing masks or social distancing. Well, since that clip went viral, that restaurant has now been shut down by state officials. ABC's Clayton Sandell talked to the owners of that restaurant to get their side of the story.
This scene on Mother's Day, adults and kids crowding into a restaurant that was supposed to be closed, quickly went viral.
You can see no one was protecting themselves. I guess if it's mom's last meal, you might as well make it delicious.
CNC Cafe owners Jesse and April Ariano found themselves at the center of the debate over reopening the economy and containing a pandemic.
A lot of people saw that video and wondered, what were you guys thinking?
We were thinking that people want to be free from government. That's what the Constitution is for, is to protect us from the government.
When COVID-19 hit, restaurants were ordered to close, except for takeout.
As soon as we heard the order, we said, you know what, we're going to go to curbside takeout, and we followed the rules.
But with income down 80%, cash registers were as empty as the dining room, and Mother's Day was coming.
We had some local moms that love our shop, and they said, you know, we've been cooped up in this house. Yeah. We want nothing more but to celebrate our Mother's Day eating inside your shop. It was at that point we said, you know what, let's grant some of these wishes and fight for the community and fight for restaurants, make a stand.
Did you consider having people social distance or wear masks or anything like that?
We did. You know, we actually outside there we had our patio all spaced out. We
I
came
worked
here.
all afternoons facing
we spaced
everything
out
out,
everything
6 feet,
out,
every angle.
6 feet, and then everyone came, and that was that.
The health department shut them down. The governor called them out.
And I join most Coloradans in our frustration watching videos of people illegally packed into restaurants and thinking about all the moms and grandmothers and aunts and everyone who is put at increased risk of dying from this horrible virus.
Do you have any concerns, maybe when all those people were in here, they were transmitting this virus to other people?
You know, people are adults. We have the choice to make our own decisions in life, whatever that may be.
The Arianos say they've been vilified online and gotten death threats. But they also have plenty of supporters now taping cash to the windows.
For the government to tell me that they're going to control my level of risk? Sorry.
The couple won't say if they plan to reopen despite the suspended license.
When the time is right, they'll make the decision that they need to make, and I don't know what that will be.
Is all of this worth it to both of you?
You know what? When I see people like these out here, these people make it worth it out here.
An act of defiance they hope won't force them to turn off the lights for good. Clayton Sandell, ABC News, Castle Rock, Colorado.
People taping cash to the windows there. Our thanks to Clayton for that. And when we come back, new surveillance video from that home under construction that shows a number of people there at different times, including Ahmaud Arbery. The property owners tonight are speaking out about what they were likely doing there. As we all know, grocery stores have been transformed in recent weeks. We speak with the essential workers inside about the changes and their safety. And while so many students are unable to walk for graduation, why one valedictorian senior who can is choosing not to. We'll speak with her coming up. But first, here are some of the trending stories on abcnews.com.
Powerful stories of our time, anytime. Nightline.
Your mom said, comb your hair. Your dad told you, smarten up. Your dog is judging you right now. And your best friend just called you crazy. We all need someone who'll pull no punches and give it to us straight. Now imagine getting your news like that. No bull, no spin, just give it to me straight. Straightforward news. Straight to the heart of the story. ABC News, straightforward.
The Americans here on the ground and the Iraqis, 18,000 tons. Patatas. Ismail? David.
Over ground zero from Hurricane Michael.
You can see just home after home. David, nice to meet you. This was your view.
My favorite view.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good morning, sunshine. Good morning. Good morning. I'm grateful you woke up this morning.
Good morning, sunshine.
Good morning, sunshine. We've been waiting for you. Say good morning. Good morning, sunshine. America. Say good morning. I want you to wake me up.
Right now, how do you make sense of it all? Now, afternoons on ABC, one place with the good information you need.
We are all in this together, and we're going to get through this together.
Pandemic, what you need to know. Afternoons at 1 Eastern, 12 Central and Pacific on ABC.
Welcome back. This May is especially bittersweet as commencement season is upon us, yet many graduates are missing out on in-person celebrations. But today, Facebook hosted a virtual ceremony where the entire class of 2020 got some advice from the ultimate inspirational speaker, Oprah. Take a listen.
Of course, this is not the graduation ceremony you envisioned. You've been dreaming about that walk across the stage, your family and friends cheering you on, whoop, whoop, the caps flung joyously in the air. But even though there may not be pomp because of our circumstances, never has a graduating class been called to step into the future with more purpose and vision, passion and energy and hope.
As cool as it is to get advice and congratulations from Oprah herself, many graduates, of course, still crave that traditional ceremony surrounded by classmates and family. But that isn't possible in places with social distancing and stay-at-home orders. But as Alabama eases restrictions, some high schools in the state have decided to go ahead with graduation ceremonies. Some students think it's too soon for such large gatherings, though. Janari Hernandez is one of the valedictorians at Hoover High School, and she has decided to skip her graduation on Thursday. Janari joins us now. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi. Yeah, I wanna establish that I'm not trying to protest graduation as some people think, but I want to recognize that there is a want to have this ceremony, but there is also a need to acknowledge the reality that we're living, and I think that having graduation with thousands of people is not the best way to meet the want and the need at the same time right now.
What would you say is the best way? If you were in charge, how would you celebrate your fellow students?
I think that having a virtual graduation would be the safest way, but there's other options. Like, I know this isn't the most convenient thing, but having a drive-in or having an in-person graduation where a limited amount of people come each day would be much safer than having thousands of people in one place at the same time.
What was your reaction when you first heard that your school was going to do an in-person ceremony?
I was a little shocked. They sent us questions asking us if we'd rather have a virtual graduation, a graduation in June, or a graduation in July. And we found out last Monday that we were going to have an in-person graduation on May 21st. So I was a little shocked that they didn't take that much into consideration. And when my mother and other parents emailed their concerns, their answer was that the restrictions may get worse in June or July, so it's better to have it now than never, basically. And if it's going to get worse, having a graduation that may facilitate the scenario getting worse doesn't seem logical to me or safe.
So are many of your classmates planning on participating in the graduation?
It's split. I've seen polls on social media where about 50 and 50% say that they agree and about 50% say that they don't. I'm not sure exactly.
And you are a valedictorian. I guess, were you planning on giving a speech, or what would your role have been in the graduation should you have decided to attend?
My school has 17 valedictorians, and we had to compete for the speech. I didn't get it, so I wouldn't have been given the speech.
Okay. And what are your plans for the fall?
I'm going to go to McAllister College. They're still deciding if they want to do in-person classes next year, but their priority is to have in-person classes, so they'd rather rearrange the school year and start late, like in November or December. But if that's not possible, they'll go online. I'm not sure yet what's going to happen.
And before you go, I just want to get a sense. I mean, I know that you're obviously not going to attend the ceremony, even though you would like to attend the idea of the ceremony. But how are you feeling as a graduate, a high school graduate, and the class of 2020, and how the pandemic has impacted this time in your life?
I mean, it's definitely disappointing. It's nothing any of us saw coming. But life is what it is, and we have to learn to adapt. And I am grateful to have received an education, and that's the part that matters to me. I won't be able to walk across that stage, but hopefully I'll have college graduation, and I have other things in my life that will, will make up for that.
You'll be able to look forward to other milestones for sure. Janari, thank you so much for your time, and congratulations to you on your accomplishment as valedictorian and also a graduate of the class of 2020.
Thank you.
And we still have a lot more to get to here on ABC News Prime. So do you want to go to a house party this weekend packed with celebrities? If you don't know, you are about to know. Consumer spending is plummeting. We take a closer look at the impact on big and small businesses. And our tweet of the day, a lesson on social distancing from the governor of New Jersey.
In times like these, the news-making events happen here. ABC News.
President Trump meeting face-to-face with one of the world's most brutal dictators, Kim Jong-un.
The president.
You trust him? I do trust him, yeah. I think he trusts me, and I trust him.
Ivanka Trump.
I have to ask you about your emails. Your father had taken Hillary Clinton to task for this.
There just is no equivalency.
So the idea of lock her up doesn't apply to you?
No.
Comey.
How strange is it for you to sit here and compare the president to a mob boss?
Very strange. Michelle Obama.
What do you wish you could tell your pre-White House self?
Melania Trump.
Do you think there's still people there that he can't trust?
Yes.
Still working now?
Yes.
Michael Cohen.
So he's still lying?
Yes.
It's a big statement.
And now, in a year with so much on the line, we're right there.
Good evening tonight from Washington, a very busy news night.
America's #1 news source, ABC News, straightforward.
We all need someone who'll pull no punches and give it to us straight. No bull, no spin. Now imagine getting your news like that. Just give it to me straight. ABC News, straightforward.
Another week in America, a country facing a new test now.
The Wuhan airport, almost no one here.
The last flight out of Rome.
This is the nursing home just outside Seattle. Dozens of people were just rushed off this cruise ship.
This is ground zero.
It is shut down.
Another ambulance just pulled out.
Now they're headed to the hospital.
Time is of the essence.
You can see the ship behind me.
This is the first time tests have been done here.
Morning, afternoon, evening, late night, 24/7. ABC News, there for you.
What's the most innovative daily news podcast out there to listen to every day? Well, the Edward R. Murrow Awards say it's Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. Even the New York Times calls us a top news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, free on Apple Podcasts.
Welcome back. Today we got new data on just how much retail sales plunged last month, and it's even worse than most analysts had predicted. Tonight we drill down on the particular hit on small businesses and the deepening divide between them and a retail giant by the numbers. Retail sales fell a record 16.4% in April, according to census data. This, of course, reflects store closures, but also declines in consumer income and confidence, and it hits Main Street especially hard. 98% of retailers are small businesses with less than 50 employees, according to the National Retail Federation. And sadly, more than 100,000 stores are predicted to close by 2025, according to analysts at UBS. But not all retailers are suffering. Online sales grew by more than 8% in April, according to the census. And the behemoth of retail, Amazon, enjoyed a 26% sales growth last quarter. When Amazon was a small business, it looked like this. It went public on this day 23 years ago, and it is now valued at $1.2 trillion. Its CEO, Jeff Bezos, is already the wealthiest man on earth, who some say could become the world's first trillionaire with a T. And we still have a lot more to get to here on ABC News. But could these robots be the future of food delivery? The major NFL rule change under consideration, how race could play a factor in draft position. And let's be honest, it is strange going to the grocery store these days. But how is it for the employees? Stay with us.
Seeing right now, this is part of the eye wall. This procession of migrants goes back 2 miles.
There is going to be catastrophic damage.
This fire has made a run. You can see those flames shooting up into the sky.
We are on the jam-packed red carpet.
To the right, guys.
So this is the 4th weekend of protest.
Watch ABC News on location for Facebook Watch.
What's the most innovative daily news podcast out there to listen to every day? Well, the Edward R. Murrow Awards say it's Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. Even the New York Times calls us a top news podcast worth listening to. So if you like getting behind the biggest news stories of the day, inside all the details, the backstory, and what will happen next, then listen to Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. It's like no other news podcast out there. Even the critics agree. Listen free on Apple Podcasts.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live, the 24/7 streaming news source from ABC News. Breaking news, live events, streaming nonstop. Original breakthrough storytelling from ABC News, National Geographic, ESPN, and it's all designed differently for you to stream straight to any screen whenever you want.
ABC News Live.
Streaming everywhere, right to you.
ABC News Live. It's that easy to go there.
The Americans here on the ground and the Iraqis, 18,000 tons. Patatas. Ismail? David.
Over ground zero from Hurricane Michael.
You can see just home after home.
David,
nice to meet you. This was your view.
My favorite view.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
States around the country are opening up in phases, and for the first time since the outbreak, New York State is opening partially.
This reopening is the most data-driven, fact-specific, science-driven reopening that has been done, period. It's all about the numbers and the facts.
Some upstate communities can open, but New York City remains on pause. Beaches in the area will soon open.
New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware will all be opening beaches for the Memorial Day weekend.
Retail sales plunged more than 16% in April. That's more than what analysts had predicted.
All of those mom and pops and local retailers who sell non-essentials, they're all closed, as in doing zero business or almost zero business. So this is the unfortunate byproduct of this absolutely precedent-setting crisis that we're facing.
It's because Americans are staying home, buying less, and eating more. These numbers are another snapshot of the economic challenges that are facing businesses.
As shocking as it is probably just the beginning of what we're going to see in the next few months.
This morning, a battle brewing between Major League Baseball and some of its star players.
Strike three.
Tampa Bay Rays star pitcher Blake Snell protesting the prospect of going back out on the mound for less than half his $7 million salary.
This doesn't make sense for me to be on lockdown, not around my family, not around the people I love, and get paid way the hell less.
MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred says he hopes the league can strike a deal.
Personally, I have great confidence that we'll reach an agreement with the Players Association that it's safe to come back to work.
In Michigan, robots are now making food deliveries. 2 college professors have created the Rev 1. The autonomous robots roll through the streets to a pre-programmed address.
We want something that works everywhere, right? Not just food delivery, but like all deliveries. Anyone can use our robot to do any type of delivery that they need to do.
The robots have ultraviolet sterilizing lights installed in food compartments, and they are wiped down between deliveries to ensure no customers or workers are at risk during the pandemic.
We want to make sure that everybody interacts with as few people as possible, and we think that robots can be a big part of that.
We report again tonight on the fatal shooting of Ahmaud Arbery. This case is perhaps a sign of the times because so much was caught on tape, including the killing itself. Now more video has surfaced, and it offers clues about why Ahmaud may have walked through the construction site just moments before he was shot. Here's ABC's Steve Osinsami.
The Georgia family who owns the home under construction that's now part of the investigation into the shooting of an unarmed young black man a block away is now sharing video after video, some showing this unidentified person who began visiting the property in October and took nothing, who the homeowners now believe may have been coming onto the property for water, and these security camera videos showing a white couple showing children from the neighborhood. All kinds of people who the homeowners tell us were looking around, took nothing, didn't raise the neighbors' suspicions, and certainly weren't killed weeks later. Travis McMichael and his father, Greg, a former police officer, are charged with murdering 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery, seen here being killed in the street on February 23rd in Brunswick, Georgia. They told police they thought the young man was, quote, the suspect from the break-ins. And after seeing him here, 2 doors down, walking around the open construction site, they tried to make a citizen's arrest. The father's lawyers spoke out today.
The truth will reveal that this is not just another act of violent racism. Greg McMichael did not commit murder.
And let's bring in Steve Osten. Steve, the suspect's lawyer claims that there's exculpatory evidence in this case that might clear his client. Do we have any indication of what that might be?
They're claiming that there is another video, a video that they say shows the truth of what happened on February 23rd, the day that this young black man who was unarmed was gunned down in the middle of the street. They're not clear as to who recorded that video, what part of the confrontation this video shows. I did, Lindsay, however, check with state authorities who say at this point they are not confirming whether there is or is not a new video and whether it's relevant.
And if there
Lindsay.
is this new video, Steve, that they say holds the truth, have they suggested what that truth is?
Well, one of the things they're saying is that their client, which is Gregory McMichael, the father, isn't guilty of murder. It sounds like what they're sort of indicating is that he may not have been seen on tape, and he's not seen on tape directly shooting this young man. And so they're trying to argue that a murder charge for him is inappropriate at this point.
Okay, Steve Osten, thanks so much for your reporting as always. The NFL may be looking at a major rule change when it comes to minority hiring. According to a report from NFL.com, the league will present new proposals on the issue at an owners' meeting next week. One of those would essentially reward a team for hiring a minority head coach by giving them a better draft pick in that coach's second season. There would also be a similar reward for hiring a person of color as the general manager. We should note this is just a proposal, and the NFL has so far declined to comment. As states debate how and when to reopen, we wanted to take a closer look at one type of business that stayed open throughout the pandemic, grocery stores. To see how these stores have adapted with new safety measures, we went inside one ShopRite grocery store in Yardley, Pennsylvania, where essential workers are keeping the shelves stocked and keeping customers safe.
So my name is Joe Colillo. I'm the owner of ShopRite of Hunterdon County. We opened this Yardley store 6 years ago this June. My dad started our business in 1946, right after World War II. Thank you very much for all you're doing. When the pandemic really started to come into the U.S., we started to see our sales increase that first week of March. And what happened was we just couldn't keep product on the shelf. There were actually people were just buying everything and anything. And I thought a lot of that was because of the uncertainty.
There was just items that were flying off the shelf, toilet paper, paper towels. So, in order to meet the needs of everybody, we had to put limits on those items. So some limits on meat now, based on what's going on across the country and throughout the Midwest. We have to make sure that our customers, every customer that comes in has an opportunity to buy something to provide for their family. So when you look at the baking aisle, everybody's home, so everybody's trying recipes. So, yeast, flour, the things that, you would normally do during the holiday season, they're doing every day. As we go through this and as the supply chain shores up, the product is coming back in and we're able to fill it to the shelves.
Back in March, when the pandemic just started to come through, the CDC issued guidelines for us, and those CDC guidelines helped us protect our associates. Those guidelines were washing our hands frequently, not touching your face, recognizing the symptoms of COVID, and basically staying home if you felt any of those symptoms. We also started again to take temperatures of our associates when they entered the store. So we did a lot of different things to ensure that we had a safe work environment as well as a safe place to shop.
You can head right on in. Thank you. We're counting as the people come in and leave the store to make sure we don't have too many people in the store at one time. But we always want to make sure there's not too many people in the store at one time to keep that social distancing going.
The most obvious change is, the mask and gloves, but we have a number of other changes that we've done to the checkout line for our safety and the customer's safety. We've set up plexiglass shields in front of the most common place for interaction, along with a policy of everyone using carts, which is kind of like a natural social distancing buffer.
We're also switching registers every hour. So we, in the morning we start with the evens at 7 o'clock, and then at 8 o'clock we go to the odds, and in between we clean every register every hour. So we wipe it down, spray it down, sanitize it, and then it's ready to go for when we have to do the switch the next hour. See boxes on the floor. to show social distancing, you'll see one-way aisles. We have aisles, where a customer can only come up one way, go down one way.
So I think there is a mutual respect of space and people respecting each other's space now. Supermarkets are traditionally very busy places. They're very social places. Our customers love coming in, talking to our associates. We have relationships with our associates. So once that social distancing, once our customers were wearing masks, it really helped it.
Generally, the customers have been very cooperative with the new policies. They understand that it is in their best interest as well as ours, which has been really a big comfort during all of this. I get several customers thanking me every day for being out here and for taking the time to make sure everybody has something to eat. And it really helps when you come out here every day risking the virus, knowing that the people in your community appreciate what you're doing and how you're trying to, in your own small way, contribute to what we're getting through this.
We've had a lot of people, constantly asking, how are you doing? Even sending food over to us as thank yous for working, and that's kind of neat. It's almost like uncomfortable at times because I'm like, oh, you're welcome. I don't even understand. Like, I feel like I'm coming in every day, and they said, no, without you, we wouldn't be able to get our food and be here. So I get to be involved in people wanting to donate also, which makes me feel proud to even facilitate that. I mean, today we have a customer that's purchased 5 platters to go to St. Mary's Hospital. Like, it made me feel good to get that together and, just be involved in that whole process.
I'm coming to the store probably once or twice a month, as long as I can stretch it out. I'm immunocompromised, so I want to limit my contact with the outside world as much as possible. Really do appreciate when I come here and I see that people who work here are making sure that social distancing is enforced. They're working really hard. They're putting themselves at risk for us. I try to be thankful and express my thanks to them every chance I get, especially the cashiers who are really out on the front line interacting with lots of people every day.
We've always been part of the community. We take it very seriously, but we've been through many storms, right? Superstorm Sandy, hurricanes, blizzards, that have always reinforced to us how important we are to feed the community. But during this pandemic, it's really heightened our awareness of our associates, say, you know what, we really are essential.
It was a surprise at first to be considered as an essential worker. Like, intellectually, you get the idea, but it still feels like you're in a different world from the medical people and the EMTs. But as it was going on, I felt it had a lot to do with the community and the way the role of the grocery store in the community, how we keep people fed, and how important that is to keep that chain going. I feel a little proud, and of course a little worried. But when I see how well ShopRite and everyone here at ShopRite has come to work together, it also gives me a lot of hope for how we're going to get through this crisis, because it's real easy to see the worst that's going on out there and feel despair. But when I see us get through every day here, it feels like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and that means a lot to me.
A light at the end of the tunnel, and we certainly thank those essential workers. ShopRite has set up a website at essentialthanks.com, and for every thank you note left there by customers, the company will donate $1 to local food banks fighting hunger. And whether it is due to COVID or perhaps older age, it has certainly been a minute since any of us have gone to a real house party. But this weekend, the App House Party is hosting a 3-day-long rager with celebrities that we can all join from the comfort of our own homes. Singer and actress Zooey Deschanel is one of the artists involved in this virtual house party. Thanks so much for being with us, Zooey.
Of course. How are you?
I am well. So you are kicking off the weekend tonight. For those who are not familiar with the app, how does it work, and what can we expect from your portion of the house party?
Yeah, so it's a face-to-face social networking app, and you can connect with your friends or your family, and it's just a really fun way to stay in touch with everyone. And we are doing a big extravaganza this weekend with like 40 plus celebrities, and I will be cooking and playing some of my records. I mean, not my records, but records in my collection, and answering some questions, and it's really fun. So,
and whose event are you most excited to attend besides your own, of course?
Well, you know what? I'm a big Magic fan, so I'm excited for Neil Patrick Harris is doing Magic. And I think David Blaine is also doing Magic too, and that's very cool. And also, I love Idina Menzel, and she's going to be singing some songs, I think, from Frozen. So I'm excited about that.
Certainly everyone has had to get a little creative, especially in the entertainment business during the pandemic. How has all this changed your perspective as an entertainer?
You know what? I think it's really been a way that I've been able to see other ways that I can connect with fans and create entertainment, because I wouldn't be making so much video content and connecting with fans as much probably if this hadn't happened and we weren't all stuck at home. And I really love cooking, so it's been a fun way to express myself creatively in this kind of crazy time. So,
and I wanted to talk to you about that. Like, is this just as much for you as it is for your fans? Because you sing and you cook. Your boyfriend is a handyman extraordinaire. I hear you also are talented with hairstyling. Both of you are so super creative, and you have some posts of you camping indoors. Is part of this all about keeping your fans inspired as well as you?
Yeah, because it's been a difficult time for everyone, and people react differently to being kept indoors, and it's been really inspiring to think of ways to keep fans happy and excited and engaged. Like, we've done some game nights, and that's really fun. So we love thinking of ideas to make people happy.
And as you mentioned, you have quite the record collection, and you're also featured on a new single that's out now with Steve Aoki. What songs have you been listening to during quarantine?
Well, I've been listening to a lot of Nina Simone, Beach Boys. I like a lot of old records. You know, I kind of gravitate towards 60s and 70s music, so that's kind of my collection. But you know. That's just me, and I've actually kind of been doing mostly vinyl during the quarantine times. It's a fun and exciting way to listen to music. You can't, just make playlists. You have to just stick to the records, and it's just a nice way to change perspective.
A fellow old soul. I love Nina Simone's Feeling Fine song. But fans certainly love you from your starring role on Jess on A New Girl. So what do you think that Jess and her roommates would be up to during quarantine?
Playing True American, of course.
All right, Zooey Deschanel, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Have fun partying this weekend.
Thank you for having me.
And still ahead, what's old is new, the return of drive-ins. And with restrictions easing across the country, we can once again go to beautiful sites like Zion National Park.
How do you make sense of it all? Now, afternoons on ABC, one place with the good information you need.
We are all in this together, and we're going to get through this together.
Pandemic, what you need to know. Afternoons at 1 Eastern, 12 Central and Pacific on ABC. Friday nights, 9/8 Central. True crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues. The Hunt. True crime. 2020. Friday nights, 9/8 Central on ABC.
The world may feel out of your control, but your happiness doesn't have to be. Learn the secrets to happiness. Listen to the 10% Happier podcast, free on Apple Podcasts.
ABC News honored winner of 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards, including the most prestigious honor, Overall Excellence in Television. ABC News, America's #1 news choice.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live, the 24/7 streaming news source from ABC News. Breaking news, live events, streaming nonstop. Original breakthrough storytelling from ABC News, National Geographic, ESPN, and it's all designed differently for you to stream straight to any screen whenever you want.
ABC News Live.
Streaming everywhere, right to you.
ABC News Live. It's that easy to go there.
ABC News, America's #1 news source. Straightforward news, straight to the heart of the story. ABC News, straightforward.
Remember those big screens outdoors? Well, when 125 cars pulled into the Stardust Drive-In movie theater east of Nashville, Tennessee, as it was transformed into a full-on concert by country superstar Keith Urban. The special performance was for doctors, nurses, and other emergency medical workers from the nearby Vanderbilt University Medical Center, all able to enjoy a night out at a safe distance from their cars or pickup truck beds. Looks like a good time there. It is a trend that we'll certainly be seeing more of. The all but extinct drive-in now making a major comeback due to social distancing measures, and not just for concerts. Our David Wright has more.
In Buda, Texas, Doc's Drive-In recently featured a rom-com.
Do you popcorn?
Unique to these troubled times, a classic girl meets girl story. Except for a major plot twist on the way to the altar.
Hashtag pop-up pandemic wedding.
Champagne?
Coronavirus forced Bree and Lindsay to cancel their wedding plans. This was plan B. The guests quarantined in their cars just before sunset. Social distancing meant neither the father nor the mother of the bride could walk her down the aisle.
I really want to hug you.
But they could be there in person.
You are here together today, in front of the people that love you most, saying yes to each other.
Gathered safely along with hundreds of friends and family, watching on the big screen, as well as smaller screens at home.
We were able to do 3 different live streams for people to tune in through Facebook or Instagram or YouTube.
Ladies, seal your vows with a kiss.
A celebration complete with its own noisemakers.
And I think we made some really sweet lemonade out of some really rotten lemons.
In the 50s, there were more than 4,000 drive-in theaters across the country. Now, there are fewer than 400 left. But drive-ins are having a bit of a revival right now. The perfect balance between the wish for people to gather together and the need for social distance. These relics of the baby boom era.
Oh, Danny, this means so much to me.
And the car-crazy culture celebrated in movies like Grease and American Graffiti are enjoying a renaissance.
If I drive straight towards the screen, I'm going to crash into those Indians.
Marty, you're not thinking fourth-dimensionally.
The pandemic is bringing us back to the future. Who needs the novelty of a drive-in, right? But as Marty McFly discovered, the space-time continuum has a way of circling back. Great Scott! There are new drive-ins popping up. You did show Back to the Future, and there's a DeLorean parked there. Was that yours, or did somebody rock up in the DeLorean?
Unfortunately, Doc Brown and Marty were not there, but there was a local car club that I invited to come out, and one of the members had a DeLorean. So I said, hey, come out, we'll get you the best spot. He says, well, I just hope they let me in. And I said, dude, anybody that turns away a DeLorean from Back to the Future is fired.
Impresario Michael Silver built his in Pensacola, Florida. He's an event planner there. Spring break is usually big business for him.
So when the pandemic happened, all of my guys who are seasonal workers and the business who's a seasonal business who have been waiting, since our last season for this new season, when there was one day when we lost, I want to say close to $200,000 in contracts in one day.
Even after he got the idea to open a drive-in, it took some convincing. Movie theaters can't exactly claim to be essential businesses.
I finally got the local fairgrounds on board to let us host the event there. We posted the event and we sold out our first week of showings in advance, which that was 12 showings in my career of promoting. I've never sold out that many shows in advance or really at all.
People are hungry for something to do, huh?
They were really hungry for something to do.
The rest, he and his team built from scratch.
We call it windows up, no touch entertainment. So people, when they come, they can actually scan their tickets through the window. We have a completely to-go delivery food service where we deliver the concessions directly from the concession stand to your car. So all the spots are numbered. We actually had a professional road striping company come in and stripe the grass area for the fairgrounds.
More than 1,000 miles away in Queen Creek, Arizona, drive-in movies helped save a family farm. Was this a theater once, or did you make it up out of scratch?
Oh, no, it wasn't a theater.
We have a large open field out here, about 40 acres, and there's a screen, clear back there. But we needed something to do with it.
Carrie Schnepp said the screen was already there for other events, but this is the first time they decided to show movies there.
This drive-in movie has been huge for us. People love it, and it is. It's kind of helping us monetarily and kind of keeping the farm around and allowing us to do something nice and allowing people to get out of their houses. So it's working in both ways. I think it's a great thing for everyone.
As with those Iowa farmers in Field of Dreams,
If you build, he will come.
People did come, making the Schnepp farm a focal point for the community in a whole new way.
It's legit, though. It's really legit.
And maybe there's something else here, too. Drive-ins have always been particularly well-suited for creature features.
We started doing like playing old drive-in movie ads as previews too, and that's been really cool to have the old the giant Gila monster and the creature from the Black Lagoon previews show, and to really set the mood for when people come in there. They're rolling into an experience. We're not just wanting to show a movie.
Under threat from an invisible creature, what better place than huddled safely in our cars, ready for a quick getaway? Or, in Bree and Lindsay's case, a happy ever after ending. David Wright, ABC News, Auburn, New York.
Our congrats to them and thanks to David. And before we go, a look at the new prom night. Prom was canceled for these students from a Catholic high school in Pennsylvania, but they did not let that stop them. The group got all dolled up in gowns and posed thumbs up for their moms, who proudly snapped photos from a safe distance, of course. A day to remember and our image of the day. And that is our show for this hour. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us, and have a great weekend.